if there's anything like this in the animal husbandry system in Ashes, it's just going to be, it'll be. I mean, as long as it's not pay to win. I'm huffing the copium hard as fuck right now, bro. Are you kidding me?
You'll be able to breed creatures, study the offspring, and make informed decisions when the features you want to pursue in the next generation become apparent in the offspring you've created. Species will have different traits. Creatures will have a wide variety of traits and characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses within their species.
So the best minds of the early 1800s decided inbreeding farm animals was the preferred method, because if there was a desired trait, you wouldn't want to risk losing it in the offspring by mating your animal with one from a different herd. The problem with inbreeding is that genetic malformations occurred at a highly increased rate. Stephen talks about dominant and recessive.
There are elements of recessive and dominant genes, and the discovery of certain types of characteristics.
There's two things I'm obsessed with Ashes of Creation, and that's going to be the Summoner class and Animal Husbandry. And I think they're going to coincide with pets and the way that you breed them. There's the combat pets, and then obviously Summoner has Summoner pets. So we're going to react to a video by Ashes of Relation and see how it is.
Hello, gamer.
Are you the horse trainer?
Yes, I'm the animal husbandress.
Look, I'm not here to husband any animals. I just want a white horse
That's easy.
with maximum health,
Okay, more of a challenge, but doable.
maximum speed,
Much harder.
and one of them.
You know what I think I'm noticing? This is that one Nice. I think he made Nice into a character in his things, dude. That's cool.
Secret unlockable abilities they got hiding in there.
Sir, this will take hundreds of hours. It's possible, but the more traits you want me to select for exponentially increases the difficulty of this breeding.
What do you mean? I can't just spend my Turkish lira to get the best horse in the game without expending any actual effort like I do in every other MMO?
Get out.
Now, I'm not leaving until I...
Get him, Purgle!
What in tarnation?
Combat pet. Okay.
So there I was, listening to an old live stream, pondering on my ever-decreasing hair follicle count, and then I heard it.
I'm telling you, dude. Just let it go. Just let it go. See how it looks. I don't know. You have plenty of hair left, bro. But join the bald gang, brother. Listen, if you want to get popular, you gotta go bald. Asmongold and what's that guy's name? Why is he escaping me? Narc. They're both bald, and they're both the biggest people in Ashes of Creation. So I'm coming up next.
Mendelian model of real life genetics.
Nucleic acid or DNA.
We call her heterozygous.
Everything flows from DNA. It is the Bible.
And I had this kind of holy crap moment. Holy crap. Because the phrase Mendelian genetics means something very specific and very intricate, which applied to a video game will be amazing. I'll explain how on this week's visit to the Copium Clinic. The phrase Mendelian genetics is in reference to this man, Gregor Mendel. He lived in the 1800s. He tried to become a teacher, but kept failing the certification exam. So he ditched that plan to go hang with the boys and become a monk at St. Thomas Abbey.
The boys.
He noticed the pea plants he grew had multiple traits which seemed to be inherited and were independent from one another. The prevailing thought at the time was that things blend together. He expected when you mix a short plant with a tall plant that you get a medium-sized plant, and when that medium-sized plant self-fertilizes, it will keep producing medium-sized plants.
We learned about this, you know? Remember the cards? Like, here it is. Here it is. The gene cards. You remember working on this as a kid in school, dude? You would have the squares, and then, I don't know about homogeneous anymore, recessive FFs. Oh my goodness.
Instead, when he mixed a tall plant with a short one, he got a tall plant, which when self-fertilized would produce tall plants 75% of the time and a short one 25% of the time. So he started experimenting with the different inheritable traits. Other ones like seed color, seed shape, pod shape. I'll explain some of his work and how it relates to ashes in a sec. I've worked in genetics labs, and in my current practice, I diagnose genetic illnesses. The system he developed is the foundation of what we still use today. Mendel's known as the father of modern genetics. He also taught the valuable lesson of when you fail, recoup with your homies and you can come up with something amazing. What does this have to do with a video game? Ashes of Creation makes use of animals in 4 different ways. mounts, beasts of burden, livestock, and pets. If you choose the hunting artisan class, you can go out into the wild and tame all kinds of creatures. Animals will have different stats like speed, health, armor, energy, fertility, and so on. Steven
Hunting? There's a hunting now? Hunting is a gathering profession? Oh my gosh. Wow, I haven't read this up in a minute. So you're gonna with their new change that you could do two. You could get 2 skills to max rank. Then you can be self-sufficient, no? By doing 1 gathering profession and 1 crafting, I guess, animal husbandry? Processing. It's a processing.
fertility, and so on. Steven said there will be a geographic component to this. Different stats like speed.
And then you can, okay, genetic traits, which means you can change their appearance, combat efficiency for mounts and combat pets, abilities, endurances, stats, speed, health, armor, energy. And then this goes into the whole farming thing too. So you can help, I can breed better livestock.
Health, armor, energy, fertility, and so on. Steven said there will be a geographic component to this.
There is going to be an element of geographic location being relevant for the creation of certain types of breeds. That's important, and players will have to discover that. For example, the best horse would need speed from desert horses, right? The coat and the health from tundra steeds, and the size and strength of ones that might be in the Riverlands.
Let's say our goal is to get the best horse possible with every
That's
stat
so
line it
cool,
matters. For
dude.
simplicity's sake, let's say speed, health, armor, and energy is what you're going after. For speed, you'll have to go to the desert and find a horse with the highest
Yeah.
speed stat. For health, you have to go to the tundra and find a horse with the highest health stat. And so on for armor and energy.
Wow.
This will be a fun challenge for hunters. I'd imagine the best of these animals will sell for all kinds of gold. Also, Steven says the word pairings, which makes me think there will be male and female animals.
From here from the cow, you can milk them and get some fresh milk.
Oh my god.
Oh
But they
god.
have horns. Are these?
If I get it right, if I remember right, in BDO they had males and females, and females are like twice as hard to get. And also in terms of breeding chances, females have 1 and males have 2. So it's a rigged system, it's a pay to win system, because then you like get you get coupons and put it all together so you can get more breeding chances and reset your horse or whatever. But I just hope that's not the case in this. I hope it's not. I mean, I don't know what they'll do. They'll probably make one breed or male or female harder to get.
Is the right cow?
The problem is that none of these horses in the wild will have all of the best stats, so you'll have to breed them. In a non-Mendelian trait, when you're breeding, things just average. That's what the prevailing wisdom was before Gregor Mendel. Everything just averaged out. So the best minds of the early 1800s decided inbreeding farm animals was the preferred method, because if there was a desired trait, you wouldn't want to risk losing it in the offspring by mating your animal with one from a different herd. The problem with inbreeding is that genetic malformations occurred at a highly increased rate. Steven talks about dominant and
crazy.
recessive.
There are elements of recessive and dominant genes, and the discovery of certain types of characteristics that mounts you.
In video, you would have horses, and as you level up the horse, there's a chance that they'll gain a skill. So by the time that they're max level, you would, if they don't have enough skills, then you call it a dumb horse, which I guess would be an inbred. It'd be hilarious if they had inbreds in this game.
Breed will have.
To review dominant and recessive traits, let's go back to good old Gregor. You notice that if you bred 2 purple flowers together, sometimes you get a white flower. We each get 1 set of genes from our parents. As humans, we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Some people in my comment section have 24 pairs of chromosomes. The genes from
There
the
you
flower
go.
from one parent are
There you
here,
go.
and the genes from the other parent are here. Possible outcomes for the breeding of these 2 flowers can be seen as we fill out the table. The rules are simple. If a big R exists in the pairing, then it's a purple flower. This is called dominance. If there are no big R's, as we have in the corner here, the flower is white.
Yep.
This is called recessive. So this is what Steven was referring to when he said
Yeah,
dominant
look, we were just talking about, dude. The worksheet.
and recessive. This is called a Punnett square. It's impossible to tell just by looking at the flower if it has 2 big R's or 1. The way you can tell is through experimentation and breeding. This is what Gregor Mendel did. He drew and documented a total of 28,000 pea plants. Let's say you have this flower, which is big R, big R. No matter what you breed it with, all of the offspring will end up purple. However, the next generation might start to have some white. As you breed your future Varan horses, based on the percentage yields you get from them, you'll be able to figure out which traits are dominant, big R, or recessive, little r. This makes sense.
Hold on. Can I find it? We'll go back to this. Y'all gotta see this. Horse. Hold on. This is only tier 1. You pick your horse. Dude. This is... Ooh, I was obsessed, man. I was obsessed. It used to be way harder than it is now. And so you would get coats, right? Look at all these different coats of horses. And so the fastest horse is actually a white horse. I don't know if it's completely white. You can't get it as a tier 6. There's a 7. White. So you would get 7B. You'd have to level them up to have a chance at like level 20. You have to get both tier 7s, and their color would get into it, right? So if you would get a color, a white with a black, then you would get a chance of like getting a mix. You see how there's a couple of mixes here, and also in tier 8 there's a couple of mixes. So, but then that would change its stats. So I think black had the best turning, and white had the best speed, like max speed. So if you want to get the best max speed horse, you would try to get a white and a white, male and female, level them up to 20 to have a chance down here in the to the right. You see how there's tiers? There's a chance if you breed them, there's a 15% chance that you downrank in fucking tier, bro, for your baby. And there's only a 23 plus 12, so what is that? 35? 35% chance. Wait, actually no, that's too late. Or that's level 10. Sorry, 20. Both are 20. Now there's only an 8% chance if you level up your both horses to 20 that it'll go up to the next tier, and they both have to be white. And oh my god. And you can only find up to level 5, tier 5 in the wild. So you have to get a tier 5, level them up to tier 6, level them up to tier 7. Oh my god. If there's anything like this in the animal husbandry system in Ashes, it's just going to be... it'll be... I mean, as long as it's not pay to win, a system like this is not anything too crazy. I actually enjoyed it. You'd go out into the world, find different horses of different colors or whatever, and you'd breed them together. So it was actually a lot of fun.
Recessive, little r. This makes sense of Steven's comment when he said,
You'll be able to breed creatures, study the offspring, and make informed decisions when the features you want to pursue in the next generation become apparent in the offspring you've created. Species will have different traits. Creatures will have a wide variety of traits and characteristics, strengths, and weaknesses within their species.
We don't know which traits or abilities will follow a Mendelian model, but we know there will be some. Pretty cool. And it doesn't stop here.
Powerful traits will be hidden in rare spawns through rare mutations as well.
So as you're out hunting, certain tameable animals might have rare abilities. The second part, though, is discovered through rare mutations.
That's so cool.
Hidden in certain genetic code will be some abilities you wouldn't be able to find otherwise.
And there's even the potential for entirely new species to be unlocked by master breeders who are pushing the limits.
Fuck yeah.
How could species or abilities be hidden within a genetic Mendelian model? Let's use a real-life example.
So turn on the
In
light.
Labrador retrievers, the black color is dominant and the yellow color is recessive. Makes sense. But wait, isn't there a third color of labs? Yep, chocolate. This is the most rare color. It works by having two sets of alleles or genes. This is what the color looks like for labs. It's called a dihybrid cross. From two heterozygote parents, you get 56% black labs, 25% yellow, and 19% chocolate. These are the rules for what coat color the lab has. The details aren't super important. Suffice it to say, you can hide more rare genetic features in a multi-trait Mendelian model. Speaking of more complicated Punnett squares,
Dude, imagine getting... So, like, in World of Warcraft, there's obviously, like, rare spawn pets, right? In Classic WoW, we all kind of know this. Even in normal World of Warcraft, they have, like, the spectral pets. That is sick! I can't wait. Like, what cool abilities will they have, man?
If we go back to the intro, the old guy wanted a horse with all the best stats and a secret ability. Each trait you add to a Punnett square makes things exponentially more difficult to get your desired outcome. It's likely the most desirable traits and abilities will be the rarest. The way you would do this with Mendelian genetics would be to make the recessive outcomes the best ones. Here, you have two heterozygote parents, meaning they each have one dominant and one recessive.
So you wouldn't know.
Going after one trait to get a recessive outcome looks like this. Your odds are 25%. If
God.
you have two traits and you want them both recessive, your Punnett square looks like this. The chance of you getting the rarest outcome is 6.25%. If you're going after three, it's 1.5%.
Yep.
The odds are altered depending on who the parents are, but these are just examples to show how getting the best outcomes in multiple traits makes things exponentially more difficult. Not understanding how these things work is fine. I mean, for millennia, humans hadn't understood it up until 150 years ago, so I'm sure you'd be able to feel your way through this. But just like having a lighter is
Now the question is, are we going to be able to influence these influence these factors, or is it just going to be completely random? Who knows? Like, are we just going to be able to level up our animal husbandry to master tier, and then we just have the best chances, best tools? I'm not sure.
easier than rubbing two sticks together to make fire. You can conceptualize, document, and hone your craft. In fact, you only get so many breeding attempts per animal. This is the fertility stat. So if you go about this carefully, you won't burn through all the reproduction charges of your max stat. You can go the caveman approach. It'll just cost you more time and money. EVE Online players love to talk about their spreadsheets for the market. The Punnett squares, pedigree charts, diagrams, and tables Ash's breeders are going to have will far exceed the EVE Excel document. The best master animal husbanders will have to be so organized. I bet they'll develop their own lingo. But Dr. Burns, I hear you say, someone's going to explain this in a YouTube video and ruin the discovery of it all. There will definitely be videos breaking stuff down with some tips and tricks, but this is too complicated of a system for someone to just explain it all. It's not as simple as, hey, welcome to the Breeding Build Guide. I'm your host, XX Bong Slayer 42069. Here's how you get the best horse. That won't work because there are too many variables. How do you know what the alleles of your parent horse are? How do you know if your dominant looking offspring is a heterozygote or not? If you're breeding one recessive trait, how do you know you're not losing the others? These questions are answerable, but you'll have to put in the work. There won't be a meta shortcut. If you think that, you're like Victor here. They're going to give us the log of results for breeding attempts, but they're not going to spell everything out for us.
A user interface panel that gives kind of a record of your successes and failures with certain types of breeding attempts. Right. And then from there, if you choose to share that information with other individuals, you can, of course, but it's not something that's going to be streamlined through an interface that
it's going to be so
Other
gatekept.
MMOs have breeding systems.
Unless a YouTuber,
pre-Mendelian model.
unless a YouTuber, me, maybe, who knows? I don't know, shares this type of stuff. Oh, it's going to be so gatekept, bro. It's going to be within guilds. Dog.
Things kind of blend. It works, but it's not super complicated. Here's a calculator which shows your outcomes depending on the pair.
Look at what he's talking about. This is what I was saying. You know, dude. Yep, this is cool. You know.
When game designers make more complicated systems, it makes forming a meta that much harder. With master level crafting, it used to be that you had to pick two artisan classes in the same category. Like my buddy Q talked about in a recent video, Intrepid changed that so you're not locked in the same category anymore. This means that now you can be a hunter and an animal husband. You can get your animals from the wild and bring them back to your freehold to breed. Here's an old video of what the stables look like on a freehold. Also, it's worth mentioning that the animal husbandry artisan class is in the processing category, so in order to do it at the highest level, you'll need access to a freehold. Also, as you level your animal husbandry skill, Steven says you'll be able to gain this ability.
You know, mastery in animal husbandry will involve unlocking greater crossbreeding potential between species to create more fantastical creatures.
That's going to be such a fun mechanic. We've already seen some interesting crossbreeds.
Mastery in animal husbandry will involve unlocking greater crossbreeding potential between species to create more fantastical creatures.
That's going to be such.
Okay, so there's gonna be a flying horse. There's gonna be like a Pegasus. You're just gonna have to get like the best horse and something winged at max animal husbandry, and then slap them up together a couple of times at a fucking 6% chance, and good luck. Yeah, that's fucking cool.
Such a fun mechanic. We've already seen some interesting crossbreeds. One thing I really liked about the universe of Avatar: The Last Airbender was their crossbred species, the turtle ducks, the koala sheep. It's another element of the world building in that show, just like how it'll be in Vera. It'll give a unique feel to the world. Maybe
Wow, I haven't
quelling
seen
some
that
of the
one.
cries from people who want this game to look like Coco Melon. But more on this in another video.
Coco
Yay,
Melon.
so timeless. There's obviously a lot to this. There's no way every crafting system will be as complicated. And Trepid even admitted this.
Yeah, actually, there were people asking if this was going to be a more like a deeper profession versus the other professions, like the comparison, or can they expect all the other professions to have that much like depth within them?
So that's a great question, and honestly, it was a concern among our design team when we were discussing this, right? And part of boiling down the husbandry profession to something that's more equitable with the rest of the professions, or vice versa, bringing up the other professions to something that's more equitable with husbandry, right?
I definitely don't want them to bring down the level of the system to match the lowest common denominator crafting system. I think it's okay if some things are more deep than others. The way they plan to address this is with sub-specialization.
Hard and deep, baby.
By offering specialization in one of 4 directions: mounts, pets, livestock, and the beast of burdens. I think allowing players to specialize in those directions will mitigate the comprehensive nature of the profession as a whole.
So there will be like a subsidiary.
Pretty much, you'll be able to specialize in one of those 4.
Could you specialize in all of them, or would you only be able to specialize in one? I just know that people are going to ask that.
Sure, it's a great question. So there's going to be some limited function to how many professions players can master, and within the animal husbandry system, that might also be true, right? Where when you choose one of those specializations, you may have some base access at a low level across all 4. And then as you progress further in one of those, similarly to how we've architected the artisan system as a whole, you will only be able to specialize in one.
Oh!
So, it is a fair concern, and it is something that Alpha 2 is intended to test.
For the longest time, this game is called a mount simulator. Every month they live stream us mounts, and more mounts. Understanding what
I'm gonna have to choose! Pets, mounts, livestock, and beast of burden. Livestock has to do probably with just farming. Beast of burden is caravan system. Mounts and pets. I mean, like, how the fuck are you not gonna pick mounts? How are we not picking mounts? Oh, that hurts though. You have to like specialize. Not only there better be some. This is a hard profession. Animal husbandry, you're going to need a processing freehold, which is like already by itself something hard and limited. Then you have to specialize within animal husbandry itself. Wow. I mean, it's not like that with the other ones.
Know now of the animal husbandry system, I'll never complain again when the showcase is jam-packed full of mounts.
Wow.
Some of you might be thinking, Burns, you're going too deep. They're just gonna make it RNG. Bro, genetics is the original RNG. You don't know which of the 200 million sperm is gonna fertilize the egg to make a baby. Reproducing is the ultimate form of RNG. So yes, the results will be randomly generated, but there will be likelihoods associated with the outcomes. That's literally the purpose of genetics. Also, this isn't just speculation. What I've described previously is what Mendelian genetics means. It has 3 laws, and I've briefly explained them throughout this video. Not like Steven's using some other definition of the phrase, because there is none. There's even a genetics page on the wiki.
Creatures will have characteristics that are determined by their genetics.
An added layer of depth to the animal husbandry system is raising your young. Of course, Steven calls them younglings.
Oh no.
Lastly, once these creatures are actually born, there is an element of raising the creature. So animals need to be raised from birth to adulthood and trained for the intended purposes.
I'm gonna wrap up here, but this could get much more complicated. What if
my
decides
God.
to add co-dominance or incomplete dominance mechanics in their genetic codes? We'll cross that bridge if we come to it. Thanks
Oh
for
my
watching.
God.
That's my diagnosis. I'll see you at our next appointment. I'm moving in a week, so the copium clinic might slow down for a little bit, but it'll pick right back up. Oh,
Good luck.
And be careful with copium.
I'm huffing it. Oh,
highly addictive.
I'm huffing the copia hard as fuck right now, bro. Are you kidding me? Then just gonna be the training aspect of it too. We don't know anything about that yet. So there's gonna be a process of training it that would affect its end stats. I mean, in BDO, it was just a random chance. So like every level, you would have a random chance of either your turn, your excel, or your speed. And there's another one that I forgot. Break. I think break. It was break. So you have 4 stats, and there was a random chance for any of these stats to level up, and there's a max and a bottom point depending on the color of your horse. So I was saying whites have a higher. I'm gonna cancel a higher max speed. So I guess we'll see how it all ends up. Great video, by the way. I hope to see more.